How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and welcome to my second channel, where we take a more behind the scenes and off the cuff look at stuff I do on my main channel. Now, this car is my flooded McLaren P1. It's actually the first day I ever saw it. I picked it up from Copart and it looked exactly like that. But right here is the little car that you get when you buy a McLaren P1 brand new. Obviously, I didn't buy it brand new, so I had to buy this on eBay. I am obsessed with all the little memorabilia that you get with this car. Now, this is a little booklet. I don't know if you can see it. It says McLaren P1. It's very, very kind of ghosted on there. It's hard to see. But this is a booklet that shows you all of the cool design elements of the car. You see all the trophies that McLaren won over the years. This is the engine. And one really cool thing, well, you have the signature of Ron Dennis, who was the head of McLaren at the time. But another thing is right here, and it's covered with a piece of paper because this is actually signed by Frank Stephenson, who was the original designer of the McLaren P1. And if you guys saw my last video on my main channel, you'll know that Frank was pivotal to that episode because he actually reached out to me, and I can't believe I'm saying this. He told me that he'd like to work with me on my project, and not only work with me, he wanted to make a custom body for my McLaren P1 that I'm calling the P1 Evo. Now, you guys have probably seen bits and pieces on that episode. This is gonna be an extended, almost uncut version of that day. Now, if you wanna know what it's like to design your own hypercar with the original designer of one of the most insane, iconic hypercars ever made, then this episode is gonna be for you. And you're gonna wanna stick around because after the design process, I'm gonna show you which one we picked, and we modified that even still, so you're gonna see what the final form of the P1 Evo is gonna look like. But without further ado, let's go back to the UK where I met Frank Stephenson for the very first time. This is Frank Stephenson, and you might know him as the designer of a lot of cars that are iconic to me and iconic to a lot of other people. So the new Mini, the Ferrari F430, Maserati MC12, and a ton of McLaren. So you got the MP412C, the 650S, 675 LT, I like that one, and the P1. So this is the designer of the P1, and today, we're gonna be designing a custom body for my P1 Evo. And I am very, very excited. Also, hello.
Freddie?
Yes, yes. Frank.
Nice to meet you, yes.
Nice to meet you. So Frank leads Frank Stephenson Design and now Frank Stephenson Automotive.
Right. Freddie, I know we got in contact roughly about a month ago. And we hadn't met before, of course. First point of contact, I guess. And you mentioned that you'd like to take your P1 to an extreme level.
Yes.
And I love extreme, and I love breaking records and doing things that people think are a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the only way we really move on.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you want to do something that really makes an impact, you have to do something that nobody else would actually believe is possible. Yes. And your proposal, which I guess we'll get into in a moment, is to make something that really stands out.
Yes.
And that's, it's like the mafia. It's an offer you can't refuse. And
well, I like that. I really like that analogy. Since I got the P1, I thought, well, maybe I could just rebuild it, as a stock car. But then I thought we have the opportunity to do something really, really cool because the car's already been, devalued. It's not going to be worth what a stock one is worth. So why not modify it? Why not make it like my ultimate dream spec? And then why not make it do something that it's never designed to do, but it might have been capable of? It's something where I always thought the McLaren P1 was the true successor to the McLaren F1, which is my money no object car.
A lot of people's.
And now, that car is $20 million.
Yeah.
So with the P1, even though the P1's not a cheap car, like with the P1, me owning this one, which is the worst one in the world, like if I rebuild it to something that can be like part of that ethos, that world beater, that one man's vision, I think I'll be doing something right.
I think if you're going to do a car and you want to make it special, you have to do something that makes it really stand out. And heck, if we do it right, and if with any luck, we'll make something that actually is multiples more expensive than the original. We don't know, but one-off is always going to be something quite special.
So it's either going to be priceless or worthless.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I need to be honest with everybody here, because the fact that I got to not only meet Frank Stephenson, the original designer of the P1, but work with him on my project, it was exciting, but it also gave me a ton of stress, because as you can imagine, this is the most ambitious project I've ever taken on, and I want to make sure that I make everybody happy, including myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself to make these videos and to finish these projects, and this project has taken a long time and a lot of money. And if I'm at a point in the project where I think I should be further along, that really does take a toll on my mental health. So one thing I used to do when things got hard was just bottle my emotions, just put them deep down inside. And that was super unhealthy, and it would lead to me burning out. And one thing that actually helped was talking to somebody, was having a therapist. And it just so happens that today's sponsor, BetterHelp, is on a mission to make starting therapy easier. Now, using BetterHelp is very simple. You fill out a questionnaire and you'll match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. You can easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost if it's not the right fit. And with over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. Now, in my experience, what a therapist does is they can listen, they can ask questions, they can help you see things from a new perspective so you can make the positive changes you need in your life. Now remember, going to therapy is a sign of strength, not weakness. So click the link in my video description or go to betterhelp.com/2varish to get 10% off your first month of therapy. It is super worth it. Go check it out right now.
All right, I feel like I'm in the principal's office here. So there's a lot of stuff on the table already. But you guys have done some homework. This is all new to me.
Obviously, when we first heard about the assignment, it got very enthusiastic, I'd say. So we started already thinking, and just to make sure that when you arrived and we got together and we started doing the debrief and showing you a few things, we'd have some ideas already, so it wouldn't be good just to sit here with a napkin and sketch stuff out. We've done some work. We have a few ideas we'd run you by, but obviously it's always good in person to get, you know, from the crocodile's mouth, what you really want us to accomplish with this, and how much you'd like us to change it, or how much can we change it, which is more important.
Sure.
And obviously the objective is top speed, but there are probably things that you have in mind about the impression you want the car to have, the stance. Do you want us to go way out there over the top, or do you want us to keep it something that looks like just another possible version of a McLaren, the car that didn't make it,
right?
You know, that was still behind the screens in another room. And you know, or even give McLaren an idea that at some point they should have done this, and maybe they can still do it with one of their cars. So obviously they have the Speedtail, they have other cars, the Sennas and all those, but this could perhaps be a brand extender or something that gives them another idea about high speed.
What I was thinking with the car is the goal is top speed, but also the goal is it has to look special. It has to look like no other P1 on the road, but it does have to look like a P1, you know? So, you know, we can't just make this like a top fuel dragster. It's going to have that DNA. So people can go, you know, quintessentially that is a P1, and you know, it's a P1 Evo, so it's an evolution of that. So
OEM plus.
OEM plus, correct. So I want this just to look like it came out of the factory from McLaren, but if it's like the most extreme version.
Yeah, it's a serious project, but you got to avoid going down the cartoon route, because it's very easy to over exaggerate, and then it becomes almost a ridiculous version. So it has to be a lot of serious. But obviously, when you do the testing in, you know, CFD or computational fluid dynamics, and that will tend to make it look serious anyways. So
yes, absolutely. So I see a lot of really cool stuff. So what's something that you guys are thinking would be like a strong contender for
Well, first of all, what we absolutely must do, I would say, is to consider controlling the air as long as possible on the body of the car, along the body of the car, and a lot of that is already proven that it works, and one of them is what we call a long tail. So by extending the length of the car in the rear, you can really start to influence the air in a positive way for high speed. So that's going to be one of the effects that we want to do, is put on a long tail version or create something that is a modern version of a long tail. And also the diffuser is going to be quite important because spoilers create drag, right, Ewan? It's something we have to make sure we don't go crazy with spoilers and things. But at the same time, they do tend to give you some downforce, but the Venturi effect underneath with the diffuser is where you can get a lot of suction underneath without penalizing the drag factor.
Air, hits the front of the car and it does a few things. It either goes over the car or under the car, and you have to manage both of those.
Yeah.
And the air that goes under the car hopefully doesn't create lift, because that's when you go whoop,
Yeah.
But if you have a diffuser that goes up like this and it's long, it actually creates a suction effect towards, on the bottom of the car.
Yeah.
So it'll keep that down, and this is more for stability, or that also kind of meets the air here. So it's all very, I don't know if they didn't use computational fluid dynamics for this car.
No.
This was just like...
Well, a seat of the pants.
Seat of the pants,
Does it feel like it's getting light, and you can say, okay, the driver says, it's a handful when I'm driving it at high speed. But you can also work with in-car line fins that give you a little bit of stability as well.
Okay.
And tapering, working on the profile from top view can help you as well to sort of create a teardrop effect. You're not always looking for a sharp point at the end. You're looking for a camtail, which kind of makes you think it's not aerodynamic, but it's just a very sharp stop to the back end, like a vertical slice.
Yeah.
And that will control the air very sharply and very effectively as well. One thing we have to remember also is thermodynamics, cooling.
Yeah.
You don't want the car to blow up or catch fire or whatever. But what you also want to do is try to close up the openings, because anything that has an opening is going to slow you down.
Correct.
So as much as we can close up the front intakes without closing the mouth of the horse and not being able to breathe while it's at full gallop.
Yeah.
So we can do a little bit of that. There's a lot of work that we can do on the side of the car, because at the moment the P1, when we designed it, we removed stuff on the car. We vacuum formed it, sort of shrink wrapped the shape as minimal body surface on the car. So that's in the search for less weight. A lot of reasons for it, but at the same time, it probably isn't the most aerodynamic efficient car out there, because the air, when it gets to these noisy surfaces, tortured surfaces we call them, the air doesn't know what to do. So if you can tell the air with a clean surface what to do or what path to take, then you're in control, right? So as a designer, what we do is try to clean up the sides of the car. And I think we can do that on the P1 very effectively with adding a panel that covers out or covers up the area that we have that is sort of like a missing panel. We can work with air. We can work with some blades that can actually shift the air or guide it. We can cover the rear wheels partially to give you a little bit less turbulence where the wheels are rotating. So one of the ideas, remember we were talking about positioning the exhaust out to the sides using that free area we have here, because we're not going to need to worry too much about getting that much heat out of the engine. If it's a high-speed car, it's more about horsepower. The exhaust can be pretty dramatic in a car like this, and not really affect the aerodynamics too badly or too negatively, I guess.
The only thing I would worry about with that is that with this car, the frame actually comes right here, and the exhaust sits in between. So it would have to come up and over, and I'm not sure there's enough room to do that without sacrificing body lines.
I remember the reason why it did come out right here, because it was the shortest path that we could create for the exhaust. So less path distance means less weight. And it is hard to split it. You'd get a whole different sound even, I would imagine.
Well, we have, so right now we have kind of an X pipe going. So we have 4.5 inch downpipes coming off the turbos, and then that goes into a 4-inch X-pipe section. So it's going to sound
collects everything there.
It's going to sound different anyway because the engine is all completely different. But it's also fine to maybe make this a more organic shape. Let's say if it did come out in the middle, but have it be like an oval.
The best sound actually comes from a round exhaust pipe. We learned that from our NVH, is noise vibration harshness engineers, and they're all, if you want the best sound, go for a round, trumpet sort of thing. When we start changing that, you're going to not optimize the sound. But at the same time, a lot of us, when we look at exhaust pipes, we're like, how cool could an exhaust pipe? Look at Bugattis, look at Lamborghinis. They all go to town on the design of the exhaust pipe. So obviously, we don't want to destroy the acoustics or make it worse.
One thing with the P1 is that it didn't really sound. I mean, it sounded distinct, but it's also the exhaust manifolds are exactly the same as the 12C. And the engine architecture virtually the same. So other than the exhaust, the actual design of the back box itself, that's the only thing that makes a P1 sound like a P1, and this one sounds completely different. But you definitely don't want it sounding tinny or like raspy or anything. You want it to sound like exotic. A
lot of the problems can arise as well from the heat of the exhaust pipe. So if you put them too close to any element that has to work, the heat from the exhaust pipe can ruin that relationship with the component that's next to it. So
that was the problem with the McLaren F1. That's why they lined the engine bay with gold. It's to protect the carbon fiber because there was so much heat coming from it.
Very effective and expensive way to approach it, but it can be done. One of the other things I was thinking about, Freddie, we had a conversation with you about that, was the snorkel.
That looks so cool.
On the car at the moment. When we designed the snorkel on the P1, it was basically to resist making it too dramatic. From top view, the whole snorkel thing where you take in air to get it into the turbos, it was designed, if you look at the P1 from top view, it's designed like a jet fighter. So you got the sort of the profile of the snorkel, very flush almost, but from top view you see it. It's almost got the fuselage of a jet fighter, and then you got the two wings splitting out, one to each turbo on either side. But it's not dramatic from side view. You wouldn't almost know it even has a snorkel. You have to go up and say, okay, there is. And a lot of the cool snorkels are the ones that are dramatically designed, where from side view you see this tower almost, and they're narrow and they're tall. And I think a car like this deserves it, because you could almost start to work off of a fin that comes off the back of the snorkel and creates that fin that goes back to the rear spoiler. If we have a rear spoiler, at least a vertical fin. The D-type had it. There are a lot of cars that still have that modern technology where they have a fin coming down. So that's one way to work with the snorkel and the fin and the rear wing if you do want to integrate them all to look fluid. You can branch out some wings from there, a lot of different approaches to there, and you can have a bi-wing rear spoiler, create something that's absolutely not seen before. Bringing race technology in, because if you look at a lot of the rear wings on high-speed cars like the Formula One cars today, they deal with the same issue. High speed and downforce at the same time. So you get DRS zones, the spoilers change positions and all that. So the dramaticness will happen by itself.
Looking at this is the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Cool.
Like this is absolutely crazy. If there was a car that existed that looked like this, this would be the biggest deal in the world.
Good. That's the aim.
I mean, this looks fantastic. You can see. I'm guessing this is airflow.
It's a little bit. We need cold air going in and hot air going out. So don't look at the colors too much.
That's fine. Blue is a color of hot now. It's okay.
Blue, Miami blue is hot.
Exactly, it is.
They're actually the Miami
colors,
aren't they? No, but if so one of the things we have to be careful with is that the air that goes into the main radiator, when it goes over the top of the car, you don't want hot air going back into the snorkel. So a lot of our testing originally with the McLaren P1 was that the air that came out of the air outlet on the hood, bonnet, never went back into the intakes of the car. So there's a lot of airflow testing that made sure that only cool air went back into the snorkel. But we should be able to achieve that as well, even if we do modify the out.
So, question. So there is a radiator in the front, and that's, I believe, an oil cooler.
There's three
Yes.
radiators. There's one main radiator.
Yeah, I mean in the middle. Yeah, there's one there, and then there's two on the
We
sides.
call them LTRs, low temperature radiators.
Yes, yeah.
And so those have air outlets just in front of the rear, just in front of the front wheel.
Yes.
Which we had to add on. They have an aero effect because there's a wing in there as well that helps push the front end down a little bit.
Yes, I was going to ask about that because a lot of people don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there is a little flap. It's a motorized flap that opens up and closes.
Absolutely, yeah. So, it's a lot of stuff you don't see. If you got on your hands and knees on this car, you'd probably find out more about the car than if you looked at it from a normal view.
Yeah, especially if you have to take 300 pounds of sand out of it.
We can center the windscreen wiper. It doesn't really do much, but continues the theme of a blade going through the middle of the car.
Yes.
I wouldn't change things like headlights. Those are designed to be optimized when they were first. And plus, the McLaren logo headlights probably, I think, were a stroke of genius when we did them because nobody else could copy them.
Yes.
So it was McLaren through and through, 100%. And anybody else that did anything like that would be accused of ripping off the graphic.
It's iconic too. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at this and you know it's a P1.
Yeah.
Even though everything around it is different because of these headlights, you know it's a P1.
One of the other things we can do on the front is probably cover up the front a little bit more, so you almost get sort of a blocked front. Although you do need air coming in, maybe we don't need as much air if you're not going to be driving the car for hours on end. Or in super hot.
I mean, I could. Well, what I think
there is
is
something called the Cannonball Run.
Yes.
Where it's all about getting to the other side of the.
Well, funny you should say that because the people that built my engine are called Cannonball Garage, and the guy who owns that is Arnie Toman, who has the record for going from New York to LA.
How fast or how long?
It's just over 25 hours.
What was his average speed?
Very fast.
Was it over the speed limit?
It was over the speed limit, allegedly. Very allegedly, yeah.
Well, that could be a goal.
Yeah, but they absolutely know the McLaren platforms.
Okay.
They are experts in this.
Good.
So they're the ones that built the 1400 horsepower engine. So they took a 4-liter, a base 720 engine, but we have forged internals and everything like that. So we can throw a ton of boost at this. Also, I went to the Netherlands and talked to a company called Tachyon, who were the original manufacturers of the P1 turbos.
Okay.
So they wanted to work on this project, and they came up with turbos that are basically the same size, so you can bolt them right onto the engine. But instead of the engine in the original P1 made something like 727 horsepower, without the hybrid. With these turbos, they're capable of flowing 1400 horsepower. And then they're the same size. So that's what turbo technology has done.
Oh wow!
In 10 years. And they didn't just take some stock turbos and mill them out or something. They sent them to Mitsubishi Japan, who was the original manufacturer, and the Mitsubishi Japan made these turbos. So they're OEM turbos from the manufacturer, built for this car.
So that increase in horsepower plus the reduction in overall weight, if you take the battery out, which is huge.
Yeah, it's something like 300-400 pounds.
It's like
with the e-motor and all that. No.
Yeah, it's a blob inside the car. That is going to give you a lot of weight, horsepower.
Power to weight.
Power to weight ratio.
Yes.
And then the other thing is, I was thinking here, Freddie, tell me if I'm right or wrong, is you're going to keep the adjustable suspension height?
Yes. I think that's a part of everything. All the computers are going to be essentially McLaren. I may go standalone engine management just because there's a lot of things going on, and we can account for different fuels. So if we want to run ethanol, that's fine. And I mean, there's going to be a lot more stuff going on in the car. But the adjustable suspension, we'll be able to do custom modes. So if we do like a velocity mode, we can have the suspension in a certain ride height. The thing is, if you go to like a high speed mode, you don't want to have the thing dumped on the ground because you want to have some sort of thing, otherwise it starts porpoising.
Yeah, it's going to be dangerous at that speed. Tires are going to be interesting, the wheel covers are going to be interesting, or the wheels themselves as well.
Well, tires, I think, is a solved thing for now because all the really high-speed cars, the Koenigsegg Agera RS, the Chiron SS, they all use variants of the off-the-shelf Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s. So those are good for, I'm not going to say they're good for 300 miles an hour, but they have done those sorts of speeds. So, and also, it's not so much the speed, it's the heat buildup that really kills tires. So the reason why the Bugatti Veyron, when it first came out, it went 253 miles an hour, and they're like, oh, the tires will only last 10 minutes.
Tires with a limit?
Well, the tires were a limiting factor. I mean, back then they had this crazy Michelin Pax tires that would need to be glued on, and you know, but the problem was the car was very heavy. It's like 4,000 pounds, 4,200 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And 1,000 horsepower is a lot, except for the fact that like when you get up to speed, you're going to need more than that to actually accelerate quicker. So if you have 1,400, 1,500 horsepower and less weight, you're not actually putting a lot of as much thermal load on those tires as a Veyron that's at speed but accelerating slower.
Yeah.
So that's why the Chiron can run, you know, Cup 2s, but the Chiron has 1,500 horsepower, so it gets there way quicker.
Yeah.
So you're already, you know,
the temperature.
Yeah, you get up there and then you stop, and
that's it.
Yeah, you're not loading up the tire that much.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! This looks like a spaceship. This is so crazy.
Well, spaceships are fast.
Oh my, dude,
Yeah.
dude, oh.
So we haven't even started. We're just see
hell.
the wing concept in the back.
Oh my
Higher positioned vertical snorkel, covered wheels.
The vents on the fender.
Yeah.
Or sorry, wing. Forgot where we were.
Yeah.
So these vents, I noticed that on a lot of high-speed cars, they don't include them. Is there a reason for that, or like because?
Well, if you can get the air pressure out of the wheel well, one way or another, then you probably wouldn't need them. But the less pressure you have in there, the better it's going to be. So anything that adds to taking air pressure out of there is going to help you. Whether you need them for a high-speed car, it's debatable. They look good. And
They look
a lot
great.
of companies will do them because they're just an added nice detail, surprise and delight feature, as we call them. You don't need them, and it probably doesn't help aero-wise because you're still creating turbulence.
Because what happens to that air after it leaves? Yeah,
dirty air, as we call it.
Another thing that can work though is if these were active.
Yeah,
like on the AMG 1 where it just does this.
Yeah, that's a good feature. That's kind of like what we sometimes, you know, you can consider fish gills or shark gills or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't need them all the time, but when you do need them, you open them up and then you close them. So yeah, that is if they're active, that's a good feature.
Yeah.
Old style is what you're pretty much seeing here, where they're not active; they're just fixed, staying open all the time.
One thing that I would also like is, I mean, this is a purpose-built car for high speed, but it also should take corners. You know, I don't want it to like fall on its face, right? I don't think it's going to be setting lap times like a Senna or anything like that. But I think having it be able to do regular McLaren things is probably going to be.
I wouldn't sell yourself short on this thing because it's going to be fast. Obviously, that's the main goal.
Yes.
But the car is set up basically from the factory to be fast.
Oh yeah,
in every condition. It's not going to be a bad handling car. So unless we do something to destroy it, which we're not going to do, we're going to take weight out of it, which is one of the good things about, you know.
Yeah, the flood did that.
So I think.
I had one really bad day.
True. But I think we're going to probably shock ourselves in the end. We might find out that this car is actually a Nürburgring contester, you know.
I mean, that would be great.
So we'll see, but I don't think we're going to mess up the handling characteristics of the original car, which are pretty good.
Yes.
Maybe not world, you know, segment leading or anything like that, but it will be a car that you can drive, turn left and turn right.
I don't know if it's possible, but it would be cool if we did either a Lexan or a glass engine cover, because that one thing that I thought was missing from the P1 is that you couldn't really see anything in the engine.
There's a reason for that, Freddie, because the engine is so low in the chassis and the platform that you almost don't see anything.
Yeah.
But what we can also do is beautify even more what you do see on the top.
Yes.
And so the manifold cover and all that kind of stuff.
Well, actually, I just, the day before I got here, I got a intake manifold from a McLaren Senna, which is all carbon fiber.
Yeah,
so now it's like, it's going to be a piece of art, and everything's going to be custom made, you know, 3D printed and aluminum and aluminium, sorry. All right, so we have some initial 3D renders, and these are just Blender you know, 3D mock-ups of different ideas. So this is by no means the finalized products, but it's really, really cool how you can just like manipulate the base model, you know? It's interesting because all these are wildly different from each other, but you can still tell it's the same car, you know, same base car. I really like this design element. I wonder if, you know, if we brought this down sort of
connected
like
it?
Connected it, so it's just kind of like one rigid structure, then maybe we could get away with having that negative space there.
Yeah, you need to be sure that it's not going to flip or twist or anything like that. So the best way to make sure of that is really hooking it up with the fender.
But whether it makes sense to have that, because I do like the separation of this being a different color. So how do you separate that as well?
It's
you know?
easy. You can do it.
The side could be like this part coming up in body color and then stop here, and then you would still have your split.
But I do like that this body line just follows, and it's the same body line of the stock P1. It's just extended. And then you just have this crazy wing on top, which is also, you know, an air scoop. I really like that. I just wonder how hard that is gonna be to make, and also like I'd have to be able to take this apart and stuff like that. So I know that this clamshell is all one piece. So there would have to be a separation here because this is basically the roof structure is one solid piece bonded to the car, but then the clamshell is different. So if we just like basically made like a separation here and then everything kind of bolted onto that.
You could also do it as a layer that lays on top of the existing structure. So we have to know what's underneath. And we can't take away stuff that's in there or going to stay there. So we just have to build on top of that. But that's what happens when we go into 3D with a existing surface. We can work on top of it. And then we can extrapolate surfaces, you know, that if they were to continue, where would they end up at? For example, you know, like the blade here. And you design it. Where does it actually land when it finally comes to the rear wing?
So we have it here on screen. If this car was a car that existed right now, it would just it's not a cheap version of anything. You know, like this is going to be the ultimate version of this car. So I do like the aero disc wheels, that this is smaller, that's bigger, you know, I guess for brake cooling and that sort of thing.
Aero blades in there. But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the P1 is an extension of the F1, sort of a generational change, but the F1 was always a very fast car, you know, high speed. Why not keep the same theme going with the P1, you know, extremely fast car. So it's probably more in tune with the original F1 now, like we see it here, than the one that we came up with in the early 2010s.
You hear that? You hear that? So there is like a space here.
This panel that we have to have over here. Right?
Oh yes. So right here. So it's like a cooking show. Look at this.
Here's one we made earlier.
So right here, there's a space here, and then that could just be a strake that follows along. And I'm not going to say this is going to be easily done, but I think it is possible. So if we have, I think the next step in this process is, you know, kind of get a 3D render, and then from that 3D render, we can start doing some virtual wind tunnel testing, seeing what's possible with the actual frame. So I have a scan of the frame and, you know, the mounting points of everything. So it shouldn't be super difficult to do. When I say not super difficult, it is difficult to do. It's just, it's not gonna be impossible.
Well, I mean, people would be surprised, but a lot of the solutions that we come up with, we do them in a quick and dirty model. We'll use anything out there, wood, plywood, cardboard, anything, just to mock up volumes, get a feeling. We'll even go then later into maybe a 3D printed stage where you use stereolithography or 3D printing to actually create semi-realistic pieces that we put on the car, and we can evaluate those.
I'll leave you guys to it. We have a bunch of ideas, and I can't wait to see. I am so excited because this has never been done in the history of ever. this is not, I mean, this is on the level of like McLaren hasn't done this. So for me, piddly old me, to be doing this and being able to you know, talk shop with you guys, this is fantastic. So I'll leave you guys to it, and hopefully at the end of this, we're gonna have a P1 Evo that looks absolutely insane.
All right, so now we are current and the design process is over. And here is what the guys at Frank Stephenson Design and Frank Stephenson Automotive, what they presented me as potential renders for my P1 Evo. Now here is one version, and right off the bat, look at how crazy this looks. There is a gigantic wing in the back right here. There's a fin on the center section, the roof scoop here, and this just looks absolutely insane. I mean, there's this weird aero disc design and a turbine wheel, and everything's chrome and everything is super, I'm not gonna say gaudy, like this is very, very striking. I think it's gonna be really, really difficult to have this element, like this wing element right here, which is kind of like a tri-wing, like it connects in the middle and then it goes out to the sides. It's gonna be really, really hard to have this be functional as like a top speed aid. So this is a gigantic section that, I mean, we'd need to do a lot of testing to make sure that this isn't creating lift or creating any sort of turbulence. So realistically, I think this is gonna be very, very difficult to actually implement. There's another version that we came up with. I wanted something a little bit softer, and this is what Frank's team came up with, and this looks awesome. It looks really, really cool. I love the softer lines. I also have the Amber Dawn paintwork. This is the custom color that I'm gonna make the car. I like the rose gold accents here on the wheels. We still have the turbine wheels, but we have a more traditional sort of aero disc in the front and the back. They're different sizes. And we still have the fin that goes all the way down the spine of the car. It's almost like a lion's mane, but here the spoiler is almost like a ribbon. It goes down and it connects to either side of the car, and you can see it's even more striking from the front. It's just like, it goes all the way back. It's almost like a bow on top of the car. Now, this is also something that's very, very striking, and to be honest, it's gonna be hard to implement this as well, even though this is a more simple design. There are a lot of softer lines. There's not a lot of aggressive strakes. And I really like this. I played around with Photoshop a little bit, and then I came up with this. That's, you know, just kind of like my rendition of a really famous P1 photo. I thought we could go even simpler, and that's when we came up with this. And this I really like. Now, this is just a preliminary sort of vision, but this is gonna have an active aero element, meaning that the back section of this, which is a long tail, and all of these have long tail sections, the car is actually physically longer because you're gonna wanna control the air for as long as possible. But here, it's almost like a Le Mans prototype fin going down the back of the car. It's a little bit more subdued, there's no big wing, but the wing is gonna be retractable. And we just put a placeholder wing, which is the stock P1 wing. Obviously, this doesn't go into here. It's just, I mean, the sizing doesn't make any sense. But you can see that with the wing deployed, it can still do all the race mode stuff. It can still do all the stuff that makes a P1. But in terms of looks, it's a lot more simplified, and I think a lot more doable. I actually really like this. This is, I mean, I kind of AI the background, and it's sort of wanting to go back into the ocean. You know, look at it. It's yeah, it's going to the ocean from whence it came. So I like this design because you can tell that it's still a P1, but it is very heavily modified, but it still retains that feminine masculine mix that I really, really like about this design. But this is just a preliminary version. We've been working on it quite a bit, and I'm gonna open up Blender here, and here is what it actually will look like. Now, I am not a Blender person. I don't know anything about 3D modeling, but I did just download Blender and I do have the file, and this is what we came up with. Very much still a P1, but I'll tell you what we did. So the entire front is reworked. So this entire front on a regular P1, it is very sort of narrow, and on the Evo, you can see that this is opened up. This air intake right here is opened up, and there is a radiator here, but I will be closing off these because they're supposed to be radiators on either side. I think I'm gonna do away with those, and we're gonna find an interesting solution for those. If you zoom in here, you actually see that the air goes out the side. If you look right here, it actually gets diverted through this air scoop and then just goes off the side of the car. So the hood is redesigned and it's gonna have quite a bit of airflow. There's gonna be a lot more air coming into this front radiator and then coming out. Now you don't want hot air going into the air intake up top, and it's still gonna be up top here, but we're gonna have to figure out how to mitigate that. If you look at the side profile here, you can see that this is way more aggressive. And we have integrated this wing, which is gonna be all exposed carbon fiber. Now there's an open section here, so it all kind of flows, it looks organic, but this attaches to the roof scoop. I'm gonna have to have some interesting engineering to see how we can attach that via bolts, because we wanna make sure that this is all removable. We wanna have a car that's serviceable. And I don't know if I'm gonna do a Lexan engine cover. I wanna have the engine displayed, but we also need to make sure that whatever is back here, that has adequate airflow, because there's gonna be a lot of air, a lot of heat trapped in this engine bay. It's gonna be 1,400 horsepower. So that heat has to go somewhere. So that there have to be vents here. Maybe we do a Lexan glass with holes in it, and that may mitigate it. And in the back, you see, it still is very much a P1, but we have that giant exhaust right here. It's gonna be titanium exhaust. And this is like colored purple, but titanium is gonna turn purple with a lot of heat. But one of my favorite elements of this car is the long tail section. And this we made as an almost bolt-on piece to the stock clamshell. And you can see right here, this is not exactly to scale, but we took the wing shape, and the wing shape is basically gonna be this leading edge of the long tail section, and that's gonna go up and down. Now the stock McLaren P1 raises 12 inches, and it also does an air brake function, meaning that the spoiler goes up vertical like this, and it also has a DRS, which is drag reduction system, meaning that on top speed runs, it can lie flat. So I'm also gonna try to do maybe a velocity mode where this just goes all the way down and the car gets as slippery as it can get. This is super cool. I am very excited to see what we can do with this. Also, I've been toying around with the idea that maybe we don't need mirrors. Like if I take these mirrors out, like the car just looks more purposeful. And if I integrate maybe some cameras in here, and then we integrate that into a big rear view mirror, then maybe that works. But honestly, this is my dream car. This is gonna be absolutely insane. Now, obviously this design is gonna require a lot of custom work and planning, and I already have a lot of irons in the fire in terms of like carbon manufacturing and molds and everything. So this is gonna take a little bit of time. I mean, it's gonna take quite a bit of time, but hopefully this should be running and driving by the end of the year. And I can't wait, because if my calculations are correct, this will be not only the fastest P1 on Earth, but the fastest McLaren on Earth, maybe even the fastest car on Earth. So stay tuned for more episodes on the P1. They're gonna be coming up soon. We have wiring, we have engine work, we have a lot coming together. And this is final assembly, so it's gonna take some time, but it's all gonna come together quickly, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. What time is it? It's almost 3 in the morning, so I have to sleep for a little bit, and then tomorrow I can work on this car, because the only way you get to do this is by wrenching every day. See you guys later.